Hi everyone, Rich Kratzer from DIY Home and Lawn Care on my estate. I have an unexpected DIY project that needs to get tackled right away. I tried to start up the tractor and the key is very hard to actually move, the ignition key. I was able to get it started, but then I also noticed it either catch the starter or it wouldn't, or reignite the glow plugs or it wouldn't. Did a little research. It's the ignition switch. It's bad. The only tools you're going to need for this project is a 1 1/4 inch socket, Phillips screwdriver. You're also going to need a 7/16 inch socket, and last but not least, a 1/2 inch socket with about a 2 inch driver, plus the ratchet. So let's get started on this project, and I'm going to show you how to change the ignition switch out of a compact tractor. One note, I was able to get the loader off. It's not necessary to get your loader off if you do have it on the tractor during this repair, but it will make the repair a lot easier. First thing we need to do is disconnect the ground wire from the battery. Just need to loosen it up and remove the ground wire. All right, next thing you need to do is there's 2 bolts that hold this shroud together underneath the steering wheel. You need to remove both of those bolts. These bolts are 1/2 inch. Just loosen them up. And then you can just, if you had a little longer driver, it may be a little more handy. There's one. That one's loose. There's 2. Now the shroud's loose. Another thing I like to do is I like to put the steering column in the upright position. Let's go around the other side. Next thing you're going to want to do is move your side panel. There's 4 bolts that attach to this metal bracket. The first 2 are to hold the top cowling in place, and the last 2, numbers 3 and 4, hold the black shroud. So you want to remove, if you count from the top, the 3rd and 4th bolt. This way you can pull the shrouding so you can get access to the wires in the back. This shroud, when you remove the bolts, will pull apart. Here's the switch. This switch is held in with 1 nut. I'm going to show you on the new one. This is the switch. Remove your key. Bubba gets a new set of keys. Don't ask me why I call them Bubba. But right here, this is nothing more than a plastic nut. And if you have a 1 1/4 inch, or to say a 1 inch socket, it fits perfectly. So all I need to do is remove this plastic nut from the front of the ignition switch, and I can simply unplug the terminal in the back, the wire connector, and this ignition switch will easily come out. Just hand tight. Now let's remove the wire connector from the back. Here's the switch. Here's the wire connector. Wonder why these go bad. Look at all the dirt. This is the wiring harness, and it has a little tab on it. You simply pop the tab up with a regular screwdriver, wiggle it, and it comes right out. To install the new one, can only put the wiring harness on one way. Reinstall in the shroud, but take note how the key is oriented in the shroud. It should be facing up and down. I'm going to take my new nut, there we go, that's in place. Take your 1-inch socket, hand tighten it. Basically going to reverse the process. Sometimes this can be a little tricky because putting stuff together is not as easy as I find out as taking it apart. But make sure that your shroud lines up underneath your steering wheel. And once that shroud lines up, you then can put your bolts on that metal plate. Just hand start them, hand tighten them. Make them completely tight, because you're going to also want to start the bolts in the back of the shroud. Once they are completely tight, then you can come back and tighten the ones up on the bracket. Take your 1/2-inch bolt, 1/2-inch socket with your 2-inch extension, and just get the bolts started. This is why I say don't tighten up bolts at the bracket, the engine compartment, because trying to get all this stuff to align sometimes can be more difficult than actually changing out the switch. So I got the first one started. Second one is started. After everything lines up, then you can come back and snug everything down. Be careful not to over tighten. This shroud is plastic. Just snug it down. There you go. Also, if you have a deep socket versus a shallow socket 1/2-inch, that does make it easier too. Let's go around and tighten up the last 2 bolts against the metal bracket in the engine compartment. Everything's lined up. Let's put on our side panel. Cleaned our battery terminal. Reconnect the ground wire. Again, this just needs to be snug. Covered the terminal. Close the hood. The moment of truth. Let's see if what I did actually works. Glow plugs on. Glow plugs off. Success. This was an unexpected DIY project that didn't take very long, and I know it saved me hundreds of dollars. Total parts, my labor obviously was free, but parts were under $100. I also just want to give a quick shout out to Ag Industrial up in Tamaqua. It used to be Charles S. Snyder. Fantastic, fantastic service desk. Even though the name's changed from Charles Snyder over to Ag Industrial, all the crew that's at the help desk are still there. They know their product and they know how to service their customers. So special shout out to Ag Industrial. Hopefully you learned something. I know this was not entertaining. I'd like to thank you for watching. If this did help you, feel free to send me a comment. I always appreciate a thumbs up, and if you can subscribe to the channel, so much the better. I hope you have a great weekend using your compact and subcompact tractor, and I'll catch you on the next one.